Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Those Guys Podcast, where Troy's definition of a great breakfast is eating Cheeto Puffs and drinking Coke Zero. Troy, tell the viewers about the exciting interview we have in store today.
Yeah, Chris. Tonight we're joined by Gage Guardiola, a former standout athlete from Ruidoso High School. He continued his football journey at New Mexico Military Institute. During his time there, he was a part of a national championship team. He later transferred to New Mexico Highlands University, where he spent 2 seasons as a quarterback. Now he's beginning the next chapter of his football career on the sidelines as a coach at Highlands. We're excited to talk about his playing days, being a part of a championship program, and his transition into coaching. Welcome to the show, Coach Guardiola.
No, thank you guys for having me. Really excited. Watched, I think, kind of from the beginning, and watched some guys that I've kind of looked up to. Just Coach Fazio, for one. He was one of my coaches. Coach Lopez, obviously, coached my brother, and then Coach Ocampo is huge, and that's just a few of them. But just really excited to be on today. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man, it's actually been kind of a blessing for us. We've had such a good group of coaches to come on the show and to help us, take this show to the next level. And obviously, Southern New Mexico is pretty excited about their football down there. We're excited this next year. We're going to do a lot more. We're going to be at a lot more games and hopefully follow up with all those teams. And obviously, we're wishing all those coaches the best of luck. But you're officially our first college football coach here on the show.
Nice.
So thank you for helping us reach that milestone. That's kind of a big deal for us.
No,
But
awesome.
Coach Guardiola, growing up in Ruidoso, smaller city in New Mexico, what was it like growing up, and what kind of sports did you play?
It was awesome. I can't really say I had a really good childhood. I'd give a lot of credit to obviously my family, but Ruidoso was a really fun place to grow up as a kid. Played football, basketball, baseball, kind of focused in football, baseball as I kind of got to high school, played basketball up until like 7th grade, wrestled a little bit. But the two main ones were football and baseball. That was kind of me and what my brother did, and kind of what we kind of had a natural knack for. But yeah, Ruidoso was a really fun place to go to school, grow up, had some really good friends, and, beautiful place to grow up. There's always kind of something to do. Like if you're inside, you're making a mistake because it's a lot of stuff to do outside.
Yeah, a lot of clean mountain air. A lot of people like to go up there, train, try to improve their athletic performance. So yeah, just a great place to do all that stuff.
Definitely. I could just imagine growing up there. I mean, have the mountains as your backyard and getting all that fresh air and, wildlife and everything. So really neat. So
Yeah.
Coach, what was that moment when you realized, hey, I could play football beyond just playing at the high school level? When was that moment?
My dad, he was a really good high school player and played at the University of New Mexico. My dad, he was a good high school football player, went to UNM. His locker was right next to Coach Ocampo's, actually. They were right next to each other. So, but he was actually committed to Minnesota, but ended up staying at home for Coach Franchione. He was like my dad was one of his first recruits he got when he got hired. So I think it was kind of always on my mind that I wanted to play in college. So it was, I think him doing it made it more of a reality for myself, and it was kind of something I kind of just expected to do. But I think probably once I started my sophomore year at Mayfield, when I was there my sophomore year, I started, and we didn't have a great year, but I was like, okay, like I could play. I think I have a chance. Kind of seen some guys that went on, like I could definitely do this. But I think my dad always said, if you wanted something, you worked hard enough, there's no reason why you can't get it. So I think it started kind of from the beginning, just seeing that my dad did it, and then him always kind of promoting my brother and mine's dreams and aspirations. But I think it'd start from there, but maybe a time frame, probably my sophomore year.
So with that being said, Coach, what made you choose NMMI? What made you go that route rather than maybe another university or or a more traditional college?
Well, I really wanted to go to Fort Lewis. My 3 offers out of high school were Fort Lewis, Highlands, and NMMI. And NMMI was my first visit, like after my senior year. And, I wasn't like high on it because I really didn't want to do the military stuff. I knew they had a good program, but it was not really something I wanted to do. I was kind of set on Fort Lewis. I was supposed to go to Fort Lewis the next weekend after I visited NMMI, and we went on a visit. Coach Kurt, who's my boss now, he was the defensive coordinator and D-line coach at the time. He did my visit. And right after the visit, kind of talked to Coach Kurt and then the head coach, Coach Fortune at the time, and they said, they kind of said what the offer was, and my parents just loved the staff and the school, and we got in the car, and they're like, you're coming here. I was like, no, we're going to Fort Lewis next weekend, like, I really want to go check it out. I want you guys to see it. They're like, well, someone else is going to have to take you up there, like, you need to come here. And I was like, what? Like, you guys said I could do it, and then kind of had some push and shove, and kind of just, okay, I'll do it. Like, it makes the most sense. it was the best decision of my life. Ultimately, there was some really good people I got to be a part of and meet, and really has helped me get here today. So I can't thank NIMI enough. People that I got to meet there, and like it's led to me to this point in my life right now. But ultimately, it was my family kind of fell in love with it. It was also the best money scholarship I had as well. I wasn't paying very much. I was like $300, $400, and but it was the best decision I could have made.
There's a lot of tradition at NIMI. And if those of you guys have never been to Roswell, I mean, it's a pretty cool campus. It looks like a big old castle. The campus is huge. So how was it actually like going to a place like NIMI where they have the military structure, right? But you guys are also student athletes. So you guys kind of have a harder schedule than a lot of just students, right? Traditional students that would be attending the school. Obviously, you guys have the military stuff going on, like the formations. And how do you guys like find time to do, the practicing and, the traveling? Like how does all that work?
Yeah, it was definitely tough. It's definitely different than most college schedules. But the challenging part was I graduated in 2020. So like the end of my senior year was COVID. So when I got to NIMI, it was like pure COVID. So we couldn't leave campus. You could only have like 3 people in your room or 2 people in your room. Like you couldn't hang out with your teammates. So like that was a challenging itself, just being at top of the military. But in terms of like the structure of the school, like you have formation every morning. And then you only have football for a certain amount of time. I think it was like 3 to like 5, 3 to 4:45, 5, because you have dinner and lunch and dinner and then dinner formation that you have to be on time for. So if like you get out of practice late or you're taking too long getting ready and it's already time for formation and you didn't eat dinner, well, sorry, like you don't get to eat dinner. You have to go to formation or you're going to have to march tours is what they're called. So it's a tour is you march 1 hour around the box is what we call with your rifle, which like you didn't want to do. You got a certain amount of tours for whatever you missed, whatever the punishment was. So like football there was like the best part. It should be the best part of your day no matter what, but especially there, like we craved it. We loved it because it was away from everything going on from school, the formation. It's also a high school at the same time. And when I was there, like you could have high school kids who have higher rank than you and they're telling you what to do and they're like 15 years old and you got 20-year-old, 18, 19-year-old guys having to deal with it. So it's hard to explain, kind of like you said, just like I don't really think you truly understand NEMI if you're there. Like you can explain it all you want, but like just some of the stuff that happens there and what goes on, it's truly one of a kind. But yeah, it was awesome because like some of the stories you just can't make up and like will be with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I always found it fascinating just because you always see the cadets working out there. And I've probably told this story on other podcasts, but yeah, I played at Mesa Community College. And back then you guys were in our conference and we played them like 7 times in my 2 years of being at Mesa. And I got to play NIMI 0 times at NIMI. And I really wanted to make that trip to Roswell because I heard it was a pretty rocking place to play. I heard like all the cadets are forced to go. It gets very loud in there. So, I mean, that was an experience of itself that I wanted and never got, unfortunately. But yeah, I just always thought that was fascinating because I'm like, you probably have a lot of D1 bounce backs, right? That come from like Florida or these bigger schools. And then they try to come to like middle of nowhere, New Mexico, and all of a sudden all this military stuff is imposed on them. And how do those guys transition to all that? Is there problems for them transitioning to that type of lifestyle?
Yeah, it's crazy. And like, I give kudos to like the coaches I had because you really never know how the kid's going to react. Like you could think you know the kid, but even like a kid that might be like clean cut coming out of high school and you think you could handle it, like it just wasn't for him. But like the transfers, I think it always kind of comes down to how much do you love football? Because if you really love football and you want to get the most out of it, like those guys did. But like one of my teammates, his name was, we call him AG, Anthony Grant. He was a transfer from Florida State. And he came in and he was big time. And it was just a shell shock to him just from everything. He didn't know it was a high school. Like I remember, I don't even know what happened. Someone said something to him and they said he was 15. He's like, "You're 15? Like, what do you mean you're 15? He's like, "I'm in high school." He's like, "What?" And that was probably one of the funnier stories. But yeah, there's definitely a challenge for a lot of those older guys who come back who've experienced like SEC or D1 football, and now you're marching to class or marching to lunch and dinner. And a year ago you were shooting Gainesville or Tallahassee, living probably the best college life you could have. But the guys who really loved it and wanted to kind of invest in themselves or get their career back on track made it through. And we had a lot of those guys. I was on a really, really good team. We had some really good guys. We had a really good core of leaders on the team. I mean, we had, obviously everyone knows Diego Pavia. He was huge, one of the leaders. We had a lot of really just good dudes on that team, guys who knew their role and just loved each other. It was a really fun time. Like, I didn't play a lot. Like, I played a lot more at Highlands than I did at NEMI, but playing at NEMI was probably the best experience I've ever had playing football.
It's always one of those programs that I've always been intrigued with and would like to watch. But whenever I found out you guys went to the national championship back in 2021, I definitely had to tune in that game. And I knew nothing about you guys. Like, I didn't follow up with Juco football for a couple of years. And then you guys went to your first national championship game. That was your first one, and you guys won it. So, to me, that was exciting. That should have been exciting for the state of New Mexico, too, because it's, the likelihood of a college team going to a national champ, there's only 6. There's only 6 at the college level. So, to make one of them is a pretty big deal. That year, I know you mentioned some of those names. That Anthony Grant, he was a running back for you guys, correct?
Yeah, he went to Nebraska after NEMI.
Yeah.
He was looked like his first year. His last year, he wasn't as productive. That's when Matt Rule came in, but no, he was a dog. He was, man, he was durable. He was physical. He's probably the most gifted player I've got to be around, coaching and playing. Obviously, that's same circumference as Diego, but yeah, he was a dog.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. What was the expectation that year? Obviously, coming back from COVID, we know the state of New Mexico was in like shambles when it came to football at the high school level, college level. I mean, you name it. Like, football just wasn't happening in the entire state. So you guys finally get to start playing. What was the expectation like? Did you guys think you guys had enough talent to reach the national championship?
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. We had football in the spring of 2021 as well for COVID. So we played football in March, April, May, like actual games. And we had a decent year. We went 5-4, but we were really young. We had a lot of like true freshmen playing. We think we left some on the table. Diego played really well, kind of toward the middle half down the stretch, took over the job. He didn't start like everyone's heard the first like game or two, and then he took over. He started playing really well. When we knew we had a lot of guys coming back, but right after the season, like the day after we got back from our bowl game, our head coach, Coach Fortuner, he retired. And so he said Coach Kurt was going to be the interim head coach. But we all kind of knew we could be really good just because we knew we had a lot coming back. And we had some really good key pieces. We had a really good old line. We had all 5 guys coming back, and we had 2 other rotational guys that we knew were going to be really good as well. And so we got back in July, and, there was no panic with Coach Kurt taking over. The biggest challenge was just kind of the COVID protocols and everything. But I think we had a good idea, like, hey, we could really do this. Like, we could, I don't think national championship was on our mind, but we knew we could win the conference. That was kind of the big thing was, hey, like, we can make a run, we make the playoffs, like, we could win this conference. And that conference, like, I'm a little biased, but it's like the SEC of junior college football. It was a lot of fun and a lot of competition, a lot of good players. Now coaching, like, there's some really good players that come out of it. I kind of see a different lens, but even playing it, like, there were some dudes in that conference. But our whole goal was like, hey, let's one week at a time, let's try to make the conference playoffs and then go from there. And I don't think it really hit us that we could like really make a run at it until it was a couple weeks before the playoffs. We were like the number 2 ranked or number 3 ranked team in the polls, and they did it like every Monday. And we're like, oh, dang. But then the next week we lost to Cisco. So it was kind of a reality check. And so that was kind of a wake up call. But I think we knew if we just took one game at a time, we had a chance to be really special. I don't know if national championship was on anyone's mind. I think our coaching staff did such a good job. It was like, hey, let's just focus on right now. Let's focus on what we got to do right now today. Especially at NEMI, like, you really got to have a process-oriented mindset. Like, hey, I got to have a really good day-to-day. I got to show up the formation. I got to go to class. Got to take care of this. I just got to put one foot in front of the other and let's keep on going, and then just focus on the task at hand. That's what the school really, at least to me, kind of taught me, is like, hey, just focus on the task at hand. And I think our whole team did that to an extent really well. But yeah, it was exciting. It was one of the best experience I ever had, and a really mature group for the most part for guys being young, because in junior college it's all freshman, sophomore. We had some just really good leaders. Like, one of our DB coach, Coach Trey, was a safety on that team. I think he was an All-American. He was a stud, and he was a coach back then on the field and was really, really good for the defense. But we had just really good leaders all over. Like, there was no big rah-rah guy that we had, but I think everyone kind of just knew their role and just really loved each other.
Yeah, no, that's legit. So you guys used to be in the Arizona Conference. The Arizona Conference dissolved. And then now even like Snow College has joined that conference. So yeah. It's an elite junior college conference. Between you guys and the Jayhawk, I would say, is It's pretty dominant. If you're going to go play JUCO football, those are the two conferences that you want to be in. So the national championship game, what was that week like? Like, how was the travel? How was the preparation for it?
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. Our group actually had a pretty good idea of how to handle it, because the year prior, or that spring prior, we had like a similar situation when it was just a football team on campus because we were getting ready for a bowl game, and we had some guys who didn't really handle their business, and it ended up kind of hurting us because we needed those guys in that bowl game and we ended up losing. So we had an idea like, hey, this is how we need to handle it. But in terms of like the structure of the week, there was no class, school was over, so really it was just football. So we had about a week and a half, like maybe close to 2 weeks, just on campus getting ready for the game. So you had a lot more time to just focus on football. In that perspective, I think we left 3 days early for Arkansas. It was in Little Rock, Arkansas. We drove, we didn't get a plane, but kind of that whole week as we closed in, like there was a big ceremony that they have right before the national championship. And for the ceremony, they wanted all of us to get haircuts and wear our brass. And like, if you want to get a haircut at NEMI, like you might as well just shave it off because those ladies aren't going to fade it up how you want it. So we were all kind of angry, and we didn't want to wear the uniform because Iowa Western, we knew they were just going to be kind of in their jogger suits, and that's kind of what we wanted. And so like I would say every night after practice we had to go do a brass check, make sure your uniform is up to standard, and like everyone from the school was there. Everyone who was in charge, all the high ranks, the general of the school, making sure our brass was shined, our shoes were good. We had our belt buckle up to that. But in terms of like the preparation, like I felt like our process was so good, and how guys knew what we needed to do, and just the leadership was so solid on that team. Like we already knew our process, how we needed to attack and what we needed to do, and we had such a good kind of like cycle going. It was just another game for us. I felt like we did a good job for the most part, not making it bigger than what it had to be. The game started out kind of rough, kind of our nerves, but so was Iowa Western, and it seemed like our nerves kind of chilled down quicker than theirs. But going back to the kind of the ceremony before the night before the national championship, we're wearing our uniforms, our NEMI uniforms, and Iowa Westerns, and their sweats, and they're like laughing at us, clowning at us. And I think it kind of just gave us motivation right before the game just to get going. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise because they were kind of just laughing, and we knew they were giggling at us because we had these uniforms on. But yeah, they were just kind of talking. And then also the AD was there for Iowa Western, and each AD had to come up and talk. And that week, our volleyball team lost to Iowa Western in the national championship as well. And he said something along the lines that Iowa Western was undefeated against NEMI this year. And that really kind of got the general of our school going, and basically everybody. But yeah, that was kind of a funny part of it that happened that week.
Yeah, no, that's wild, man. I was so pumped up to see you guys actually pull that off. But yeah, I think it's just funny how you mentioned just the kind of travel from the JUCO world, right? It's always bussing. So I remember Pine Top, and we were going to go play Scottsdale Community College there. Well, our bus breaks down. We take two buses, one for offense, one for defense. Usually, players are so big that you need some space, right? Well, man, one of the buses broke down. So we had to all cram in one bus, and then we had people affiliated with the school picking up other players, and we all had to kind of drive to Pine Top. But in the process, stopped at a casino buffet. Wasn't the best, but that's just the JUCO life, man.
I get that. Our offensive coordinator, Coach Thatcher, he was at NEMI for, I think it was like 7 years, but he left NEMI like a year before I got there. But some of the stories he tells me, like there was a story he had, they were leaving snow to come back to Roswell, and the bus driver was going the wrong way. And, there's just some stuff that it, like there's some all around junior college. You have JUCO guys. There's like JUCO stories you just can't make up.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Coach, so you have that experience. You guys won the national championship. Everything's great. Next step. So you end up going to New Mexico Highlands. What was that process like? Were they heavily recruiting you, or how did you get up to Highlands?
Well, I had an offer to Highlands out of high school, but that coach like quit or resigned like right before signing day. And it really wasn't on my radar coming out of high school. But, during that national championship year, I got to start the first game of the year. Me and Diego were splitting reps. Does not mean I was going to take the job, but it was kind of like, hey, you've earned to get some reps this game. I got to start the game. So I started the first game of the year of the national championship, and I separated my shoulder. And so like I missed like a couple weeks, and I came back, and we were like 5-0, and there was no quarterback controversy or anything like that. But I was trying to work back into being the backup again. And so I had a shoulder injury. And then after the season, after the national championship, I needed surgery. And so I was like, geez, like, I don't know if anyone's going to pick me up. I already don't have a lot of film. But then Coach Hudson, who was the head coach at the time, called me and said I had an offer. I was actually at NMMI for the spring. I was going to go back and just go to school and finish school up. He called me and said, hey, like, we want to offer you, like, it's going to be probably your best money offer. It was a good money offer to have a chance to compete. And I just wanted a chance to really play. I kind of was in and out, was the backup. I got to play at NMMI, but kind of just garbage time stuff. And, he offered me, it was a good opportunity. I just wanted to go in and compete. Wasn't too far from home. Las Vegas is a little similar to Ruidoso. But yeah, and Coach Hudson was his first year. Like, he just got hired. The previous staff got another job and he took over. And so like I was like one of the first guys he brought in. So I was excited about that.
Pretty good, coach. Okay, so then, you get there, you're healed up after your surgery. That experience go for you?
My playing time was kind of completely opposite from how it was when I was at NMMI. At NMMI, I had really good relationship with my coaches. Like, it was like, and this is the guys who I work with now. Like, you're always welcome to come in the office. It didn't matter like what was going on. Like, you go in and talk to those guys. And I thought that's just how college football was. You could go in and talk to your coaches and just talk about whatever. You weren't bothering. And I love that part about NMMI, and that's kind of what we try to do now here. But my junior year, I got to play a lot. I think I started like five, 6 games. Didn't start the first couple games. I was still kind of recovering from my shoulder that spring. So it kind of put me back kind of in the rotation in the depth chart. And then fall camp came around. I was like that second, third guy, and then kind of got my chance against Adams State, like the 4th, 5th game at halftime. And I think we were down by like 3 points, and we came back and we won. And it was 23-16. We ended up winning, which was cool. And then started kind of the rest of the games after that. And so played a lot. It was probably my best collegiate year. It was my junior year. I mean, it was awesome getting to play in the RMAC. Got to start against some really good programs, Western Colorado, Colorado Mesa. But yeah, I mean, I always just loved playing football. But yeah, that first year, I think we went 3-7. We started off 3-2. We beat Black Hills, who was like 5-0, but kind of just lost some really close ones down the stretch. But yeah, that's kind of the story of that year.
Yeah, so the RMAC, I want these younger viewers that are watching this right now. The RMAC at the D2 level is a very fun conference to play in because you're traveling to places like in Colorado, South Dakota, Nebraska. So you have a chance to see some different parts of the United States, play at cool campuses, really. I mean, Black Hill State's nice. Shadron's pretty cool. It's a cool conference to play for. I mean, the Lone Star is starting to become like that too, with the Oregon teams and Washington teams joining the conference. So you get to kind of just travel around a little bit of everywhere. But Coach, where was your favorite place to play in that conference, and where was it? Is there a favorite place that you like to travel to, and which was your favorite game playing?
I think probably the best like away atmosphere was probably Colorado Mesa. I think they have the best student body. I think they're the biggest school in the conference in terms of just kids who go to the school. I don't think it's much smaller than New Mexico State, like in terms of just how many people go to school there. It's a good college town. So there's a lot of just regular students, not just athletes, but like their student section is right behind the visitor stand. So that was a fun place to play. It was a good game. I was actually one of the better ones of my career. But yeah, it was fun. It was packed. Like the students are engaged, the fans are engaged. That was really fun. I think Blackfields has a pretty cool atmosphere as well. I think those are kind of the top two, but I think Grand Junction's a great place. I mean, we beat those guys this year, but that's a fun place to go up to and play.
Yeah, Grand Junction's cool. I watched my brother play in the Juco World Series there in baseball, and that was my first time going to Colorado. Man, like the baseball stadium literally shares the football stadium too. So it's like on the back end there, they share the same press box and everything. It's a beautiful area. So man, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
Definitely. So then fast forwarding to your senior year.
Yeah. Like I was really grateful I just got to keep playing football. I was kind of in and out of the lineup my senior year. It was not like I couldn't draw it up. I wasn't playing great. To be frank, we got a new offensive coordinator. The offensive coordinator I played pretty well for my junior year. He ended up leaving. He had some health issues. He ended up leaving. So we got a new offensive coordinator. He actually had a son that was a quarterback, which he was talented. He was good, but it was kind of just tough at the time. Like me and him were kind of battling it out. We had like a 3-man rotation, but like I always loved playing football, even though we didn't win. It didn't really go how I wanted to. I think I played in every game my senior year. I just wasn't like the full-time guy. We ended up going It was like 2-9, but it was cool. I think I started a game against every team in our conference, or almost every team. I think the only team I didn't start a game against was Fort Lewis, but it wasn't like my picture perfect senior year that I kind of would have liked. But I was really appreciative of it. I enjoyed like playing football. Like, it never mattered to me where I got to play football. I just wanted to play it. Like, I just love ball. I love the X and O's part of it. I love the relationships of it. But yeah, it wasn't kind of a storybook senior year, but I was really grateful for the experience.
Well, it seems like when you get to that level, like each hit, each play, like takes a toll on you somehow, right? So what people don't realize is like, man, if you set foot on the field, whether it's on special teams, Coach Ocampo is kind of telling us the same thing. That is a difficult thing to accomplish. It doesn't matter at what level, if it's at the D3, D2, D1, NAIA level, like it is challenging. And that is exactly why we try to highlight these schools, just because there is some good football out there. And if you want to continue your career and you want to be able to build, there's a place out there for you, and you could have fun. You could go see some cool places. You can be in some cool atmospheres and play in some, some big time games.
Yeah, no doubt. Like you said, it is not easy to play college football, especially just even get on the field and then play all 4 years, 4 or 5 years. Like, it's not easy to do. Like, life happens, a whole bunch of stuff happens. I had my daughter my senior year during football season, which like I stressed me out probably, to be frankly, maybe reason why my play kind of derailed, because I had some other priorities. But like, I didn't quit. Like, I didn't stop playing because of my daughter, and that's something I am proud of. That I didn't quit because of my daughter. I finished because I had her. But no, it's one of the many blessings that Las Vegas and Highlands has brought to me. I met my wife here. I met her at Lady of Sorrows Catholic Church. We're married now. We're about to have our second daughter. But like, that's what college athletics has done for me, and sticking it out the whole time and going all 4 years. But yeah, you're exactly right. Like, there's a lot of awesome things that just happens from playing college football and going through the full experience.
Hey, yeah, Chris knows everything about you're describing, because he hears me on the phone all the time with my kids just screaming in the background. So I can only imagine playing football, having a daughter or son. For me, even just running a podcast, sometimes that's challenging. So that's crazy.
Yeah, no, but I would not want to change it. I'm sure you feel the same way. It's been awesome. I was panicked at first, but for everyone that's watching, like, there's nothing better than being a father. It's one of the best things you could do with your life.
Yes. So, Coach, going back to your senior season. So you're starting your family. You're kind of getting to the end of that journey. Did you always know that you wanted to go right into coaching, or was that kind of a decision that took some time to get to?
No, I think I always had an idea that I wanted to coach. I didn't know if it'd be high school or college. Kind of growing up, Coach Keith Johnson was my high school coach, and he played with my dad in high school. So growing up, I was always around the Ruidoso program. I was the ball boy from I was 9. And, my dad told me very early, he's like, you better do something you love. And my dad was a contractor. And I was like, well, shoot, I'm not going to do this. He's like, what are you going to do? I was like, well, I like football a lot. He's like, well, you better coach. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And so I always had an idea I was going to do it. And then kind of towards the end of my senior year, I was kind of set on just doing high school football. I knew I had a family. I knew how to kind of start making some money and teach. So the end of my senior year finished, and during the summers when I was here as a player, I'd go help out with West Las Vegas, just help their kids out, go to practice, and just hang around. And their coach said, "Hey, like, as soon as you're done, like, you come be our offensive coordinator. Like, I'd love to have you." And so that was kind of my plan. And so I started teaching. I taught third grade here in the West Las Vegas district for that spring, right after I got done playing. And I was the offensive coordinator at West Las Vegas for, I guess, 7 months. And then the end of May of that school year, Coach Hudson, who was my head coach, he got let go from Highlands. And so Coach Kurt was in the running to be the head coach. They asked him to apply for it. And I'm calling him, I'm like, hey, coach, like, man, like, if they offer it, please take it. Like, I really want to be a part of your staff. Like, please tell me what I got to do to do that. And he ended up getting the job, and I was begging him to let me be a part of it. And he was like, yeah, no doubt. And he brought Coach Rod, who was my offensive line coach, with him, and a couple of the other staff members from NMMI, and then Coach Thatcher, our offensive coordinator, who they worked together at NMMI. And then he came from Army actually to Highlands, and is now our offensive coordinator. He came, and that was kind of what I wanted and what I needed. I really wanted to learn and get developed. That was the biggest thing. Like, I was excited to work at West, and it was hard to leave those kids because it was going to be a really good senior group. But I knew kind of for the trajectory of my career, I really needed to go learn and be developed. And I didn't think there was a better group of guys I could get developed by. With Coach Kerr and then Coach Rod, our O-line coach, and then Coach Thatcher was probably like the cherry on top with it because obviously he has a really good reputation, very innovative. He's been really good to me in my development as a coach. And yeah, that's kind of how it happened. I got really lucky because I think kind of deep down I knew I wanted to coach college, but I was fine with high school. At the same token, I just love football, but I'm really glad it worked out the way it did because I really do love what I get to do now.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Coach Rod was at Western New Mexico whenever I was there. So yeah, solid dude, man. Solid coach. So I'm glad to see that he's still in the New Mexico area kind of doing his thing because he was kind of laying the groundwork whenever Western was trying to make that, turnaround. So it's kind of cool to see how, you guys have kind of all stayed together.
Yeah, no, Coach Rod, he's awesome. He's a great dude. He's been awesome to me. He was great to me as a player, and I wasn't a great player, especially at NMMI. And all these coaches that I work with now, like it never mattered if you were really good or if you're really bad. They were gonna love you and take care of you, and that's something that like I've always appreciated and I try to do now. And so like yeah, Coach Rod he's one of my favorite people.
Definitely. So, Coach, it sounds like the team that you're a part of and everything like that, they're really helping you develop into the coach that you want to be. Outside of that, are there any offenses that you watch at the NFL level or even the college level that kind of help you grow as a coach or that you just like to study?
Oh yeah, I love that question. Yeah, I think something that I really like that our staff does and me and Coach Thatcher, I think we really kind of dive into is, at the end of every year, like you want to continue to grow. Like there's no thing like, hey, we just keep on doing the same thing and we'll get the same results. Or that's always how we always have done it. Like that's kind of like the worst thing to say in football. You have to continue to evolve and grow. I think the ones that we try to token to is kind of to the personnel we have. I think this last like season, the teams we've been really trying to watch is Georgia Tech and Utah. Just I think they're very innovative in what they do. They kind of run the same type of stuff that we run. Try to be really innovative with their quarterback and running backs and different formations, a lot of unbalanced stuff. Kind of same style of play that we play at, and like I think that's kind of some stuff that we're studying. I mean, that's kind of who I've been trying to break down this summer. But I mean, you can still stuff from anybody. But I think Georgia Tech and Utah from this last year, just because they have similar style guys to us and like really similar style. Like I said, like I think their style is very complementary and fit. Their ideas kind of fit into what we do.
Cool, cool, cool. Oh, Coach, and I mean, you listed two really great programs and they're fun to watch. I love watching, Utah's offensive line play. I love watching Georgia Tech and just what they do with their running backs. There's all the different, some of those plays that sometimes it looks like gimmick stuff, but these are true formations where they're going to hit you over the top.
And Chris can't stop me in NCAA when I'm Georgia Tech. So
Yeah, right.
But
Oh,
hey, Coach, obviously I know the Guardiolas are known for recruiting because your uncle, he has pretty much recruited the entire population in Las Cruces to move out here to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Man, how do you guys tackle recruiting? I know your inbox is probably like full all the time, right? So like, how do you navigate through all that stuff?
Yeah, you're right. It is crazy. I mean, should kind of like one of my to-do lists is try to stay on top of my inbox, which is impossible. But I think there's two ways we kind of have to attack it, especially with portal and high school kids. When you're looking at a portal kid, I think it depends on the position you're looking at. But especially when you're looking at a kid from the portal, I think something our staff did a good job of this last recruiting cycle because we were a little better this last year than our first year. Obviously, our standards kind of were able to elevate a little bit. We have a little bit more to sell, but is just making sure they're a good fit and making sure like this, it's a good place for them. Like we're still able to kind of be nitpicky to an extent in what we're looking at, but again, a coach's reference, making sure it's not a third or fourth time transfer. And if it is, like what kind of led to those transfers, whether it was, hey, they're trying to elevate their play or they just want to play or they got kicked off the team, kind of what they're looking for in the spot. Do they fit our culture? Does their personality kind of fit the personality of the team we have right now? Are these a guy that's going to come in and they're going to follow the leaders or are they going to come across and bring some of these guys down? And I think this last period we did. I think we did a really good job as a staff for the most part, just bringing guys in that fit what we want. And in terms of high school recruiting, especially at a 4-year school, it's a little bit different than JC recruiting when you kind of need a guy to play right now. But hey, can this guy come in? Does he fit what we want in a running back and a quarterback characteristic? Does he have the character? Talking to high school coaches, and then can he develop? Like, what's his upside? What can he turn into? Is he gonna have a good career at the beginning? Is he gonna continue to grow? Is he gonna be a flasher? Is he just gonna show kind of signs that he's gonna be a player and just be inconsistent? But I think we've done a really elite job in terms of our high school recruiting. I think there's a lot of good high school players that get overlooked now with the portal. We've been here 2 seasons, going on our third. We've had 3 RMAC freshmen of the years. We've had 2 running backs and a linebacker. So I think our high school players, they've been our best players. At the end of last year, our last game in Black Hills, all 5 of our skill position players, all our receivers, our tight end, our running back, our quarterback, all of them were skilled. So yeah, all 6 of them were freshmen. Now, you can't really win, or it's hard to win with freshman O-linemen. When you're looking at like a high school O-lineman, obviously if they're big, like that's half the battle. And then can they develop into a really good player by their 4th, 5th semester of college is really the ideal, but offensive lineman is probably the hardest position to develop, in my opinion, especially physically, because like in the RMAC, there's some really good skill players, but they are some grown men who play O-line and D-line in this all in college football. But in the RMAC, I think that's kind of the niche that this conference has. There's some beasts, like there's some grown ass men that like they look like they're 30 and they're moving dudes around. So
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest challenge.
Well, shoot, with these transfer rules, they might be 30. They might be 40. Who knows?
Troy, you
You're
might
right.
have a chance to play again.
I know, man. I still got some eligibility left. So
So, Coach, something that Troy and I, what's caught our interest is just how aggressive New Mexico Highlands recruits in state. When we were in high school, it seemed like Eastern New Mexico kind of took the lead in recruiting in state, and now it's you all. And we just think that's really neat because we love seeing, some of the local talent get an opportunity to shine and get an opportunity to play at the next level. I know a couple guys that came from Cruces, right? Daniel Amaro, Isaac Gomez, Francisco Winnicott. What kind of went into recruiting at some of the local schools? What's kind of led you to look at some of the local high schools in Las Cruces?
Yeah, New Mexico kids have been good for us, especially going back to Coach Kurt's first year at NMMI. I think on that NMMI National Championship team, I think there was like 6 or 7 guys who started from New Mexico on both sides of the ball, and then probably like 20, 21 guys that kind of rotated through, that had meaningful playing time on that team. I think anywhere where you coach, I think the state has to be the foundation of your recruiting wherever you're at, but especially here. Being New Mexican, we have 3 coaches on our staff that are from New Mexico, but they got to be kind of the backbone of this program. Remember, not just bringing any New Mexico kid. I think we were able to be really selective in this class. I think we signed a really good one in 2025, and then 2026, I think it was even better. But yeah, they got to be the foundation of what we do and represent this school. Like I think we have 2 linebackers that are from New Mexico. We have our starting corners from Farmington. Like we have a lot of New Mexico kids who play for us, who are productive, and yeah, but I think they got to be kind of the backbone and a big part of your culture and your program. And we're not just taking them because they're from New Mexico. I think we're bringing in some really good guys who are going to make our program better, but they got to be the foundation of what we do.
That being said, Coach, but you're a younger guy. You're getting guys coming in that aren't their age isn't too far from yours. How do you kind of help those guys kind of get through adversity?
Yeah, doubt about it. Like I think it's definitely been something I've had to grow at as a young guy, is just kind of handling situations. I'm not much older than these players. Like some of them are my age actually, but helping these guys get through adversity, I think it all starts with relationships. It's like, hey, I need these guys to trust me or trust me. There's a saying, they don't know how much you care, or they don't know how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think that's 100% true. I think it starts with building a relationship from the recruiting process, and letting them know they're not just a football player to us coaches. They're much more than that. You're human beings. They're a student. They're someone's son. They're someone's sibling. And so I think it starts with that. And I think the backbone of kind of what we do is love. When Coach Kurt presents to recruits, he has a slide that says love, and he has in columns tough. And love comes in a lot of different ways, and that's being honest. And I think the foundation of any good organization is honesty. And I think that's something that Coach Kurt, our head coach, going down to Coach Thatcher, and all our coaches, we do a really good job of just being honest with them. And it might not be something they want to hear, not be something like they exactly want to hear at that time, but it's what they need to hear and it's the truth. I think they'll respect that more from, hey, someone lying to them and tell them, hey, how great you are, you need to do this, or you're going to play when in reality they're not, or whatever it is. And once you kind of develop that relationship, like we're able to help them push through the adversity, whatever it is. And then I got to do it as a coach. Like, they constantly we ask our players to grind and work and get after it. But shoot, the same thing has to be expected for the coaches. Are the coaches going to work? Are they going to put time into it? And so I think it's both sides to it, but I think it starts with relationships and showing those guys every day, like, hey, I'm going to push through adversity. I'm going to help you. I'm going to be there with you through it all. But I think it just comes from relationships and knowing the guys care about, or the guys know that you care about them.
I really appreciate those comments, Coach, because I think with any organization, right, building strong relationships is the key to success and the key to successful outcomes. So I could see why you guys are doing well and you guys are building something special down there. So
Yeah.
with that being said, Coach, just kind of looking at what you guys are building, looking at, the future and everything like that, what are you the most excited for this upcoming season?
Man, there's a lot of things I'm excited about, but I'm just excited to get back to work. We're going to have our guys here in the summer here in a couple weeks, and I'm just excited to get back to work. I think year one, Coach Kurt got hired in 2024 right before the season, so there was no off season. There was no really time to recruit. It was kind of hectic. Like at this time 2 years ago, New Mexico Highlands didn't have a head football coach, or they just named a head football coach. I think it was June 1st. He got announced as the head coach, so it'll be 2 years tomorrow. So there was no offseason. And as you guys know, like in football, the offseason is the foundation of your program. This past year going into 2025, we had one, and now we have one full cycle of now the freshman guys gone off season, get to go see those guys go into their second year develop. But, I'm just excited to go in and compete. And some teams probably aren't going to be on shocked anymore about Highlands being better, but like we want that challenge, like we want to go in and get ready to go. But I'm just excited to get back to work and compete and develop these guys and just get ready to work. That's what I'm excited for.
Coach, and then my last question for you is, so Troy and I, we have, a few high school students that watch this, or student athletes. What is a mistake or a common mistake that prospects typically make that maybe you would advise against, maybe handle your recruiting process this way?
I think especially now, especially for a high school kid, like when you're going on these camps, like I don't think the mega camps and going across the country for a camp is like the best thing. Ultimately, like you get recruited off your film. I think, hey, you just need to focus on being the best teammate, best player for your team. And then in terms of like going to camps, like go to the schools that are actually recruiting you, actually have an interest in you. Obviously, if the local schools aren't going after you, even like the smaller ones, like you probably shouldn't be going across the country to Wisconsin or whatever it is. But I think the biggest thing is really focus on yourself and your process and try to be the best player you can be for your team. Because especially when it comes down to a high school kid, most of the time, like we talk to your high school coach and what type of teammate was he? How did he handle himself? Was he a good leader? How was he when things get tough? How did he handle adversity? Is he a guy that continue to grow, or is he just a flasher? Is he a front runner? Is he good when things are good and bad when things are bad? But ultimately, I'd say just focus on being the best player you can be for your team and helping your team win and being a great teammate.
Coach.
So, Coach Guardiola, signing day's over. Spring ball's over. This summer, you guys are going to be getting into summer ball. Man, how's the team looking so far? Are you guys happy where you're at right now? Where are you guys at now? You excited going into this year?
Yeah. I think if you do things right, you should always be probably excited every year. And I think kind of with the guys we brought in and the guys we got coming back, we didn't lose like a ton like after the season to the portal. Like we were able to retain a lot of guys from that first fall semester, and those guys we wanted to keep. And those guys understand the culture, so it made the off season go a lot better. And I think we've had in the weight room. I think this is the strongest team we've had in a while. So like I think I'm really excited. I think where we're at is we're in a good spot. We're nowhere near a finished product. We got a lot of development going. I'm going to start summer meetings here soon, but I love where we're at. I think we got some good guys in some good spots, and I think our culture's in a good spot to bring these young guys coming in to fit the culture and come along. But no, we're pumped. I think I'm not going to like say, hey, we're going to go out and win games, but like we really like this group. This has been a fun group to be around, a group that wants to be coached. There's some really good kids in this group, guys who really want to make this culture the right thing. We're embodied into what we believe in as a staff. I think we find kind of some leaders that are trickling throughout that are developing, something we probably haven't had our past 2 years. So yeah, we're really, really excited. Like talent wise, I think we're always going to be talented. We're probably never going to be the most talented, but we got guys who are bought in, who are ready to go. And I don't know how many games we're gonna win this year, but I know these guys are gonna get after it and they're gonna play their tail off.
Yeah. So I mean, you guys went 6-5 last year. I mean, I can only imagine you guys are going to improve that much more. So I hope to see you guys in the RMAC championship. Hopefully you guys get a win there. But Coach, if there's a young athlete right now that's tuning into this episode from like the Ruidoso, the Capitan area that wants to play college football and maybe eventually coach in the future, what are some advice that you would give them?
Yeah, I'd say kind of piggybacking on what I said earlier, like just be the best in whatever role you have and be amazing at it. Like bust your tail at it. You know, being from that area or any small school, like just show up every day and work. Be a really good teammate. Be an asset, not a liability. Just be ready to go. Like you want to be an asset and be a guy that makes everything better. Like coaches like want to be around, and if you really want to play and you really have dreams or whatever it is, like if you keep on working, you put the work in, like it will happen. And just like I said, like whatever capacity your spout is, like be a rock star at it, grind at it, be the best at it, overdo it. You know, I think that's something I learned from my father. Just hey, like if you're gonna do something, like you're gonna do it all the way. It doesn't matter. It was reading the Bible this morning. It was hard work is always a profit. No hard work goes unknown. And so that's kind of like something I try to live by in my life. And I think that's kind of what everyone should, you know, I think hard work's undefeated in some capacity and just bust your tail in whatever role it is. And if you want it, just keep going.
That's great. Well, if you want to talk about liabilities, Chris Love behind the wheel, that's a liability. But
That's love.
Coach, we appreciate you joining us tonight. And like I said, we hope Highlands has a great season this year. So yeah, we appreciate you coming on. I know your schedule's busy, but thank you for taking the time to join our show. And we will be following up with you guys all throughout the season and, you know, highlighting what you guys do and what you guys are able to accomplish. But thank you for joining us, man.
No, shoot. Yeah. Come on, man. Come on. First game of the year against Eastern New Mexico. So it's going to be a big one. But no, come on. Come shoot some content. Come be around the guys. You'll love our staff, man. I mean, I could talk about our guys all day, and then the guys we have in our team. I mean, we got a lot of good guys coming back. We've got some good guys coming in. You talked about Danny and Francisco and Isaac. There's some really good New Mexico players coming in. And then the guys we have. So come in and just shoot and see what we're about.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks, Coach. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Coach.